Hello and welcome to Talent Treasures. This is our feature where we get the opportunity to talk with our friends at the Open Gate about their Clifton Strengths top #1 talent themes. I'm Nancy Mackey, president of Open Gate Consulting, where we work to build influential leaders. And I'm also a Gallup certified strengths coach, and I've long valued this wonderful tool to help with our individual and team growth. And joining me today is my colleague and one of our good friends at the Open Gate, Christy Marks. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Nancy. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And Christy is a project accountant and also has had a long history in the advertising field. And I think is a great embodiment of the achiever talent, which is the one we'll be talking about today and is Christy's #1 talent theme on her Clifton Strengths profile. To give you a little bit of background on the achiever talent, that is a talent theme that is in the executing themes, which means people like to get things done. And people high in this talent tend to work very hard and possess a lot of stamina. And another feature of the achiever theme is they love to take immense satisfaction in being busy and productive and love crossing that finish line. So those are a few little nuggets about the achiever theme. So Christy, I just would love to hear about how this plays out for you. And I'm thinking about that aspect of intense diligence and working hard to achieve a goal. How do you find that plays out in your everyday?
It actually plays out all through the day, every day.
Mhm,
And it starts out with me writing a to-do list. And
mhm,
I didn't know so many people did that. And then I started reading up on Clifton Strengths and the Achiever, and I'm like, oh my God, this is me from start to
wow.
finish. This is totally me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will write lists, I'll check emails, I'll talk to people, have an idea of what's really needed, and then just start working.
So you do
And
that every day then? You
every
start
day.
your day with a list.
hmm
That's
And then
awesome.
sometimes it changes, and then I rearrange the list and just keep following that.
hmm What happens if you hit the end of the day and there's maybe things still on the list? What does that do for you?
When I was early in my career, I should say, um, it would drive me crazy, and I had to get the list done. Now, older and wiser, um, it's different. I'll just be like, okay, I don't have to do everything. Add it
Mhm.
to my list tomorrow.
Yeah, you got the perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you find that other people notice that talent theme in you as well?
Yes, actually, I was just talking to my supervisor about it, and
Mm,
she's also an achiever, I think. I don't know that she's taken Clifton Strengths. I think I'm going to ask her to do that.
mhm,
Um, but she gets it so well that at the end of the
mhm,
day, she'll see me and she'll stop by and say, Christy, go home.
mhm.
You're done.
Yeah,
Finish up what you're doing and go home.
yeah.
And that's been helpful too, because I get
Mhm,
very caught up in the work and I enjoy it a lot. And so just to have that break, whatever
mhm.
that is, that's
Yeah, yeah, that
very
she
helpful.
notices that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you a bit like kindred spirits where you can really just kind of get each other on that level?
very much. And it
Mhm,
was funny because I didn't realize how much um, the similarities we had
mhm,
until I started talking to her about this interview and
mhm,
about Clifton Strengths and Achiever. And she's like, oh, yeah, and I can understand this. And
mhm.
that's exactly what I do. And, without even realizing it. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. And so it was a really good talk, actually.
Awesome. Awesome.
So,
And well, and it goes to show too just how that knowledge of each other's talents and strengths can actually benefit us as
yeah,
well. That you have that deeper level of understanding and appreciation for that. And I imagine it plays out a little bit differently for everyone, maybe plays out a little bit differently for her than it does for you, but you get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And now I know that she does the same thing, and now I'll know more so, how normally I don't just go in and say, hey, I need this or that.
Mhm.
Um, but now I know a little bit better what will help her
Mm.
throughout the day too. Just talking with her about this. So
Mhm. Is there anything in particular that comes to mind that relates to that achiever, that intensity of effort and desire to finish tasks that kind of plays out when you talk with her? Or?
yeah, it's we both really get it. I mean, even her at the end of the night, I'll come in and say, hey, how long are you going to be? She's like, oh, that's
Mhm.
right. So
Mm.
we kind of help each other that way. And
Ah.
and I didn't know that she wrote lists. I didn't know that she,
Mhm.
eh, you know, any of those things
Mhm.
um, until today, which is kind of funny.
That's
But
neat.
there was a real connection when we first started working together, uh, because I knew that if I asked her to do something or vice versa, it would be done. You know,
Ah. Well,
it's rare when it isn't. So
right. Well, and isn't that an interesting thing? I imagine people high in achiever probably are really good at gaining the trust of others. Do you have that sense as well, and any sense of why that might be?
interesting.
Mhm.
Um, Very interesting point because I trust her totally.
Mhm.
And same with her. She said, well, I
Mhm.
know you're going to get it done.
Mhm.
Um, and it does help a lot. I think it lessens, I mean, we can communicate more. There's no need for micromanaging,
Mhm.
um, it, the work just flows. It's just a overall better, I don't know, environment. I know that, and I love that. I love that she trusts me to get it done and that she knows it'll be done right. And
Yeah.
I
Done
mean,
right too. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that aspect of just I know when I ask this something of this person that it will get done. There's that trust factor that you don't have to worry that do I have to go back and ask or do I have to go back and double check? And you said that the micromanaging, it lessens the need for that
Yeah.
because
And
of that trust.
and I know that she does control points. She'll only
Mhm.
look at various things to see checkpoints.
Mhm.
And I do that too with the people I work with and those that I need to lead in certain
Mhm.
aspects. And, um, I don't want to look at everything. I'm just going to look at
Right.
various things and
Right.
see, because I don't want to be that, the micromanaging is,
Right. Well, drive you crazy, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned an interesting thing earlier, Christy, about how you both maybe protect each other or encourage each other to dial it back, which kind of brings me to one aspect of the Clifton strengths, which is, our talent themes are considered neutral. They're neither good nor bad, but those things that we do have a talent, a kind of a penchant for, that we can develop them so that they become into an actual strength. And the flip side of that is that sometimes our talent themes can actually get in our way if we overuse them or misapply them. And so, can you think of any ways that your achiever maybe has gotten in your way or been a barrier?
I would say the biggest thing that comes to mind is flexibility.
Mhm.
And it's taken me quite a few years to be a lot more flexible with things. It's still
Mm.
hard sometimes,
Mhm.
especially when deadlines are deadlines. But yeah, I think the flexibility, I'm still growing in that
Mhm.
and learning how to be a little bit and letting go.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I would say that's probably the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
Oh, yeah, and I can imagine it's hard for a lot of us, right? And other talent themes like responsibility, where we take a lot of personal ownership, it's hard to let go. And how have you maybe trained yourself to let go, or how have you encouraged yourself to be able to do that? Or self talk, maybe that's another way to look at it.
I think so. I think that's because, I didn't even notice it before. And I think it was a manager I had early in my career that would come and say, Christy, let's go do something here, or let's do this or that, because she would
Mm-hmm.
see me
Mm-hmm.
working late. And I wouldn't even realize it, and so she was trying to help me avoid burnout and everything else.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she kind of was giving me the language that I didn't even know that I needed.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hear her,
Yeah.
um, yeah, at the end
Very
of the day.
interesting. You hear her voice. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I hope you don't mind me revealing a little fun fact about you, but one thing I'm aware is that you have in the past participated in triathlons, and even I believe an Ironman type triathlon, which are the real long ones, which I can't even conceive of doing. And then you think working full time and training for something like that on top of a full time work schedule
Hmm.
is pretty amazing. So you've got achiever going on in your work life and getting those tasks done, and then an achiever element going on in your personal life as well. And again, it just speaks to that high stamina of effort. And so what yeah, what is it that drives you? Because I think most people would listen to that and say, "Oh my goodness, she's crazy."
A little bit of crazy helps. Um, yeah, I was talking about this actually with my supervisor as well,
Mhm.
Lilia, and she said, maybe that's what helped you do the Ironman.
Mm.
And then I said, interesting fact in addition to that is that I had knee surgery.
Mm.
And so I was doing physical therapy and then training. And
I
so
did not know that.
and so what I would do is, well, I did a lot more swims, that's for sure. But
Mhm.
to get on the bike, I could only do 5 minutes at a time. And then I built up to 6 hours,
Wow.
on a trainer. And then longer for outdoor rides, but I started at 5 minutes.
Mm. So
And
you're
well, the only way I could get through that is to not focus on the race,
mhm.
or that I was only doing 5 minutes. I'd just say, okay, I did 5 minutes, great, and check it off the list kind of thing. And and that's how I did
Mm.
it.
So
uh it-
I'm curious, does the 5 minutes feel just as satisfying or similarly satisfying to you than the 6 hours?
no.
Okay.
No.
Just
It
curious.
was really hard, but I had to reposition it in my mind and say, okay,
Mm,
you're able to do this. Just focus
mm,
on being able to do that. And then we'll build
mhm,
up slowly each week. But right now,
mhm.
that's what you can do. And
Ah,
it was a lot of self-talks during that
okay.
time.
So
Yeah.
you were really, it wasn't feeling like you were hitting the goal, but you were kind of letting yourself know that it was okay.
Yeah.
You still checked off a goal. You still did the 5 minutes.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Wow. Well, a fun thing to do with some of these talent themes is, some are is to compare a little bit. And you have another one in your top 10 called activator. And when I described achiever, that is part of the executing themes. That means, we get things done, we have a real high ability to accomplish tasks. Activator is actually in the influencing themes, which means we influence others to get things done, or we speak up on behalf of others. And so I wanted to share a kind of little word comparison between those two and just let you react to that. So achiever and I would say I think activator is your number 5 or 6, something like that. But achiever, I want to get it done. Activator, I want to get it started. And so how do you notice those two interplaying in your day?
Well, one gives me a lot more satisfaction, which is the getting it done.
Yeah.
Um, but getting it started, in the job that I have right now, I have to rely on quite a few people. And a lot of times they have their own priorities and responsibilities. And so to get it started, sometimes it can't just be me.
Mm.
And so I have to get it started with them. And so initially what I did was I used chocolate, which only worked for a little while. Um, and then
Bribery.
uh but then, I started to look at what each one really needed and what was working for them. Some people wanted it all at once, like, here are the things that I need from you at this date,
Mhm.
and then they could work through them. Uh, some people just, I know that, I'd look at everything that I needed from them. I took just the most important, what I needed at a certain time, and then I would just give them one thing and say, hey, would you
Mhm.
mind doing this for me? I need it by the end of tomorrow.
Mhm.
Um, and that seemed to work really well.
Mhm. So
So
you tailored the approach. Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. That's yeah, and then again, it's influencing. So, like you said, when you have to get things done through other people, that can
Hmm.
be a really good trait to be able to rely on. So, yeah, fascinating. What are some things as someone again, number one in achiever, and we say the number one, two talent themes often are just like breathing, they're so subconscious to us.
Hmm.
But what are some of the things that maybe you need, say, from a supervisor to grow and be successful?
I would say, just let me know what's the most important thing, what you really need from me, and just let me
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, tell me you need me to check in, at certain points that you want me to check in on, and just,
Mm-hmm.
let me go.
Yeah.
The other thing is just telling me that it's okay to stop,
Mm.
that I
That's
can miss
that
certain
boundary piece.
deadlines,
Mm-hmm.
some I can't and some I can,
Yeah.
um, and help me with prioritizing based on what the organization needs. Because to me, everything is important
Yeah. Yeah.
because I want it all done. So,
That's a good
uh,
point.
you know, um, but yeah, just kind of guiding me in terms of and and I do that. I'll say, okay, what's the most important thing? What do you really need me to do? What's the highest priority? And then just kind of go from there.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that is just really fascinating, and like I said, I always admire people high in achiever. It's not in my top five, so I'm executing. I'm good at thinking about things, and but yeah, getting them done is sometimes a harder thing for me. So we need people high in achiever and activator to make stuff happen. But Christy, do you have any maybe words of encouragement for other achievers out there or achiever wannabes?
Achiever wannabes. um, I would say, well, for the achievers, I
Hmm.
would say balance is key.
Good point.
And it's really hard because I think you get your satisfaction knowing that you've crossed something off your list, that it's done well, whatever it is. Um, and I think just to look at the stuff that you've done throughout the day and say, okay, kind of, kind of acknowledge that you've done it
Hmm.
because, even after Ironman, I finished it. And then the next day I'm like, okay, what's next?
Good point.
So it's like for me, and I'm still working on this, it's trying to acknowledge the successes of what you've
Hmm.
done and know that, you know, that's one point. Um,
Hmm.
the other is, that on your list you will have various things that you need to do. Some,
Hmm.
will probably take a lot longer. And so what I do during the day is, even though I have priorities, um, I like to stick in some of the ones that aren't necessarily as high priority, but I know they'll take me a short amount of time.
Hmm.
And that way I can have more things done. That
You
sounds
can
silly.
achieve more.
It feels like it sounds so silly, but um, yeah. So instead of just having that one thing that you've accomplished that day, you'll have like five,
Yeah.
and that kind of is a feel good too.
Oh, totally. Well, I can relate to the putting things on my list just so I can check it off. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yes.
Uh,
I have a
Gotta
few.
get the credit.
I have a few lists. I have three right in front of me, and it's like, oh, you know, so
Yeah. Uh,
and
well, that's,
and to know that it's okay that
yeah,
you don't have to, even at home, I think achievers, it doesn't stop with work. It's at
yeah,
home and everything else. So,
yeah,
give yourself, tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to do one thing today
yeah,
and kind of put your brain around that and then just do that. If you
yeah.
do more, fine, but just tell yourself it's just that one thing I'm going to do today.
Be okay. Yeah. No, I love that. And that's really great advice. I think the what you said about you know, giving yourself recognition and taking the time, I think is really valuable advice. I think so many of us, whether we're high an achiever or not, probably have that tendency to go, okay, what's next? What's next? And we don't take
Yep.
that pause to reward ourselves and recognize. And yeah, and very interesting. Yeah, after having completed the Ironman and thinking, wow, I think a trip to I don't know, Acapulco or something's in order, and lots of celebrating for that. So yeah, that's really great advice. So, well, Christy, thank you for making the time to stop at the open gate today and share with us about your achiever talent. I find it really fascinating, and I hope folks enjoy that. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Nancy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
You too. Thanks.